Hello everyone, in this video we will see about @primary and @qualifier annotation and how does it allow us to have more than one bean of same type in our Spring Boot application. Suppose you want to have a data source bean where most of your services in your project does communicate with the main database of your project, say for example Oracle, and also you have a necessity where you need another data source bean that might be a communication for your secondary database, say H2 or some other embedded database or maybe lightweight MariaDB, where few services might use that in your project. Now the goal is to have two data source bean, but the rule of Spring is not to have more than one bean of same type, which is in our case is data source bean. Fortunately, Spring provides with two solutions. One is @primary annotation and another is @qualifier annotation. The situation where we prefer @primary is when you really know your primary data source you use is Oracle DB. So all you need to do is inform Spring, hey, please consider Oracle data source as my primary bean and load its bean into the application context first, and don't care about the MariaDB data source because we are going to load it lazy whenever there is a need for the service to use it at runtime. For my demo purpose, I shall continue on the project what we created in the last video. We shall create two beans on the existing app configuration class where both the beans will have the same data type. We shall have one interface which the beans what we will create now will implement it. So let's create two beans in this particular class. Here we will create one more bean called babysitter provider, and let's name this method as babysitter, get babysitter. Baby daycare is an interface what we'll create now. And babysitter provider is one more class. We'll create now. So we have baby health provider that implements baby daycare and babysitter provider that implements daycare. Now what shall we do now is we shall annotate the method with @bean so that we are telling to Spring that to create a bean of type baby daycare. Now we have created two beans that will return the same data type. As I have told before, Spring doesn't allow more than one bean of same type. Let us try to reproduce this. Let me auto-wire this baby daycare bean into some other service. Let's say into newborn baby service. Let's go and run the application. Yeah, as we predicted, the field baby daycare, what we have auto-wired here, is requiring a single bean, but two were found, like the bean name with get baby health and get babysitter. So the Spring suggests to go for @primary and @qualifier. Since we are talking about @primary now, we shall annotate the first bean with @primary. Now if I annotate the bean with @primary, Spring will happily consider it adding it into its application context. So there won't be any confusion hereafter. Yeah, the application has started now. So this is about the at primary annotation. So when it comes to at qualifier annotation, the qualifier annotation will eliminate the issue of which bean needs to be injected when there is more than one bean of the same type. But here, when you annotate the beans with a qualified name, you inform Spring to load both the beans into the application context eagerly during the startup of the Spring Boot application. So let us annotate with at qualifier instead of at primary. We shall name this as baby health provider. And we shall annotate this with now we can happily auto-wire this baby daycare bean into our any service in the application with the explicit qualifier name. Now Spring gets clarity with what it needs to be doing now. And the application has started also. An important point to note is that when you use both at qualifier and at primary annotations, then at qualifier annotation will have the precedence. One more important point to note down is we can also use at primary and at qualifier annotations along with the at component annotation. For example, we will try to replace this babysitter bean with the component annotation marked with the class babysitter provider. Here all you need to do is mark with component and at primary. Or if you want to go for at qualifier annotation, all you have to do is import a qualifier annotation and write your desired name. So this is all about at primary and at qualifier annotations.